Hey, hey, look at here. Do you hear me, baby? Gonna tell you something.
Hi, welcome to Demon Performance. Today we're going to talk about motorcycle gearing. And this is an example of what I did to my 200 NS to improve the acceleration and to change the gear ratio just ever so slightly. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at sprockets, okay? These are several sets of countershaft sprockets that we have over here. These are countershaft sprockets. They go on the countershaft coming off the transmission of the engine. And here we have the rear sprocket, or main sprocket. You may, if you're an astute observer, you may see there's a difference between the spacing on the teeth. Okay, this is a 520 pitch. So there are fewer teeth per inch, and the sprocket is larger diameter per number of teeth. So this is a 39 tooth sprocket. This is a 45 tooth sprocket, 428 pitch. So, if you look carefully, you can see that this sprocket, even though it has more teeth, is smaller in diameter than the 520 pitch. Okay, what does this mean? So, more teeth. What can we say about the way that looks? Does it look more round? Does this look more angular? So, if you agree with that statement, that this looks more angular, you would be right. The more teeth you have on your sprocket, the smoother the chain will run. Okay, so there's one factor. Okay, number of teeth per inch pitch. Now, well, you might say, well, this will be stronger because the teeth are bigger. Okay, maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. How many links of the chain are going to be engaged in this sprocket when it's in any one position? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe 5 will be engaged. Okay, when you look at this smaller 428 sprockets, how many teeth will be engaged? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8. So while these teeth are indeed bigger, there are more of these teeth engaged at any one time while that chain is revolving around the sprocket. Okay, so we have smoother because we have fewer number of chains, and it's actually stronger because there are more teeth engaged at any given time. Getting back to our ratios. Okay, I want to stop right. This would be the stock setup. Okay, so this is a 39 tooth sprocket, and this is a 14 tooth sprocket, 520 pitch. Okay, stock setup, very nice. It's about a ratio of I think 2.78. I
2.79
forgot
to 1
exactly
is the
to 1.
exact ratio.
All right, it works very well. But if you want to exact the best performance from your bike, you might consider changing the gearing to 428. Okay, now it has some advantages. Some are real, some are imagined. I think it's, for me, worthwhile doing, but you have to answer that for yourself. So there's two things that I've tried. I went to a 45 tooth rear sprocket, and I originally went to a 16 tooth countershaft sprocket. Okay, that's a ratio of 3 to
2.8
1.
to 1.
Just slightly lower ratio than the stock gearing, which is the 2.7 something ratio. So you don't notice a lot of difference in gearing ratio. It should, in fact, reduce your top speed. It does not have that effect for some other reasons, which I will get into shortly. Okay, another ratio that I tried was the 45 tooth main sprocket and a 15 tooth countershaft sprocket. That shows a big difference. You can really tell the difference with that because now you're well
This
over
is a 3 to 1 ratio.
to 1, and it improves the acceleration noticeably, and it does decrease the top speed. Top speed with that setup, with the 15, 45, 428 pitch, about 125 max. That's redlined. Okay, so I ran that for a while. I went back to the 1645. It's a better all-around fix. I can still do over 130 top speed, which is more than I need to go on roads here in the Philippines. And the acceleration is smooth, It slightly improves, I feel, although I can't prove it, the torque curve in the lower RPM ranges, and it reduces the weight overall from using the stock sizes of sprockets. So you get smoothness, you get less weight, it'll spin up faster, and give you a slight edge. Whether you can measure all this, I don't know if we can say we can measure that or not. Now here's something I can demonstrate, but I'll show you if it makes any difference. Okay, this is a chain, 520 pit. Now you can see how stiff that is. This is an O-ring chain. Okay, O-ring chain has these little rubber guys, which you can maybe see in there. I don't know. But there's little rubber spacers in there, and they hold the grease into the chain. You don't have to grease this chain internally. You do have to oil it, but the oil only stays on the outside, prevents rust, corrosion, keeps it lubricated on the outside. But the O-rings keep the grease on the inside. Okay, these chains last a lot longer. They're more maintenance-free and less critical. Okay, this is a straight chain, an old-fashioned, you might say, kind of chain. This has no O-ring, okay? It's just a chain. I guess we can see in there. Okay, no O-rings. Now, what I can show you and demonstrate graphically is, wow, look how loose that one is. Look how loose that is, and look how tight that is. Now you say, well, there's a big advantage in this, and some people will tell you, wow, there's a big advantage in using a non-O-ring type chain. Well, in actuality, that difference cannot be measured. If you do a lot of research, you'll find that some guys say yes, some guys say no, but anybody who says they've measured the difference is lying, because there's no way you can measure that. And here's why it doesn't make much difference. Because when your chain is on your sprocket, you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oh. So how many links do you have on this sprocket at any one time? Maybe 10. How many links do you have on this sprocket at any one time? Maybe 5. So only a few sprockets are engaging, only a few links are engaging the sprocket at any one time. So the difference between 20 sprockets flexibility with an O-ring or without O-ring is very minimal. So you're not going to get a big difference there. Although you can see the difference, you can't measure that difference on your motorcycle. So there are real advantages to doing this, to changing your gearing, to going to a 428 pitch chain, and there are some imagined advantages. I feel it's worth it. Now, it's very important to understand you're decreasing the size of your chain. You can see right here that this chain is a lot smaller than the original chain. You might say, well, that's very weak. Well, it is weaker, but you need to go to a quality chain. Okay, I use an RK GB428 MXZ. It's a motocross racing chain. It's rated for 200 cc's street use. Over 5,000 pounds of tensile strength. It's very adequate. I'm a hard rider. I accelerate hard. I pull wheelies. I go through the gears aggressively, and my chain has been on my bike for about 8,000 kilometers, and there's been no reason to replace it. So it's no problem using a 428 quality heavy-duty racing chain. You don't want to use one of these kind of chains. This is a cheap Chinese chain. I originally put this on here just in the beginning before I got my RK, and I took it off as soon as I got the RK. This will not last. They'll stretch and stretch and stretch, and they're not very safe. Okay, that's about it. I may add some more later. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.